Good day, everyone, and welcome back to Unpopular Aussie Opinions. Now, we need to have a conversation that nobody else in Australian sports media is willing to have. Reece Walsh is now fighting his wife for custody of their daughter, and the lawsuits are flying. The media is having an absolute field day with this, and the court of public opinion has already made its verdict. But here is my unpopular opinion, and this one is going to make a lot of you angry. We have absolutely no right to be talking about this, and the fact that this is even a sports story shows everything that is wrong with how we consume athletes' lives in this country. Let me start by saying something that should be obvious but apparently needs to be stated. Family court matters, custody battles, and the welfare of children should never, ever be entertainment. This is not a transfer saga. This is not a contract dispute. This is not a suspension or a fine. This is a real child whose parents are going through one of the most traumatic experiences any family can face. And we are sitting here treating it like it is just another rugby league storyline to dissect and debate. The moment that Reece Walsh's personal life became a custody battle, it should have stopped being our business. Full stop. But instead, we have media outlets reporting every single court filing. We have commentators speculating about who will get custody. We have social media experts weighing in on who deserves to be the primary parent. We have people who have never met either Reece or his wife, who know nothing about their relationship or their capabilities as parents, making judgments about what is best for a child they will never meet. And here is what makes this even worse. We are doing all of this while pretending we care about the child's well-being. We say things like, "I hope they do what is best for the daughter," or "the child should come first," but if we genuinely believe that, we would not be talking about this at all. Because the absolute worst thing for that child is having her parents' custody battle play out in the public eye, with millions of Australians forming opinions about her family situation based on incomplete information and media reports. But here is the truly unpopular part of my opinion. Even though I believe this should not be a public discussion, the fact that it reveals something deeply troubling about Reece Walsh's situation. And I am not talking about his capabilities as a father. I am talking about the fact that he is a 22-year-old athlete with millions of dollars fighting a custody battle against someone who presumably does not have anywhere near his financial resources. And that raises questions that nobody wants to ask. In Australia, family court is supposed to be about the best interests of the child. It is supposed to be about which parent can provide the most stable, loving, and supportive environment. It is not supposed to be about who can afford the most expensive lawyers. But let us be realistic about what happens when you have one party with essentially unlimited financial resources and another party who is just an ordinary person trying to navigate one of the most difficult legal systems in this country. Reece Walsh can afford the best family lawyers in Queensland, probably in Australia. He can afford expert witnesses, psychologists, investigators, whatever he needs. He has an entire football club and potentially the NRL behind him, protecting their investment. His wife, unless she comes from significant wealth, is probably relying on legal aid or maybe a lawyer she can barely afford. The playing field is not level, and we are all pretending that this is just a normal custody dispute where both sides have equal standing. Now, before you start typing angry comments, I am not saying that Reece Walsh should not fight for his daughter. If he is a good father, if he genuinely believes that he can provide a better environment for his child, then he has every right to pursue custody. But we need to be honest about the dynamics at play here. When there is such a massive power imbalance, when one party has resources that the other could never hope to match, it fundamentally changes the nature of the legal battle. And here is another question nobody is asking. Why is this happening now? The divorce has just been filed. The ink is barely dry on the paperwork. Most custody arrangements start with mediation, with parents trying to work out an agreement that serves the child's best interests without dragging it through the courts. The fact that this has escalated to lawsuits so quickly suggests one of two things. Either there are serious concerns about the child's safety or well-being that require immediate legal intervention, or someone is using the legal system as a weapon rather than as a last resort. If there are genuine safety concerns, then absolutely, Reece Walsh should be doing everything in his power to protect his daughter. But if this is about control, if this is about winning, if this is about punishing his wife for leaving him, then we are watching a rich and powerful athlete use the family court system to wage a war that his wife cannot possibly win on equal terms. And that is not justice. That is not what is best for the child. That is just wealth and power crushing someone who does not have the resources to fight back. But here is where this gets even more complicated. Reece Walsh's career means that any custody arrangement is going to be difficult. He travels constantly for football. He has training 6 days a week. He has games every weekend during the season. He has representative commitments. His schedule is completely inflexible, and it is dictated by other people. How exactly is that conducive to being a primary caregiver for a young child? Now, I can already hear the counterargument. He has money. He can afford nannies, childcare, whatever the child needs. And that is true. But is that really what is best for the child? Is being raised primarily by paid caregivers while dad is at training or playing football really better than being with a mother who can provide consistent, daily care? These are the questions that family court is supposed to answer, but they get muddied when one party has unlimited resources and the other does not. And let us talk about the elephant in the room. The reason this marriage ended. The reason there is now a custody battle. Reports suggest that Reece Walsh was caught cheating, which led to the divorce filing. Now, infidelity does not automatically make someone a bad parent, and family court is not supposed to punish people for relationship failures. But it does speak to judgment, to priorities, to what someone values. And when we are talking about the best interests of a child, those things matter. If Reece Walsh made decisions that destroyed his marriage, that hurt his wife, that broke up his family, then we need to ask whether those same decision-making patterns might affect his ability to prioritize his daughter's needs over his own wants. Again, I am not saying he is a bad father. I have no idea what kind of father he is. But these are the considerations that should be happening in family court, not in the media, and certainly not on YouTube. Here is what really frustrates me about this entire situation. This is going to follow this child for the rest of her life. When she is old enough to use the internet, she is going to be able to find thousands of articles, videos, and social media posts about her parents' custody battle. She is going to read strangers' opinions about whether her mother or father should have raised her. She is going to see people she has never met making judgments about her family. And that is going to affect her, probably in ways we cannot even imagine. Every single person reporting on this, commenting on this, or making content about this, myself included, is contributing to that future trauma. We are all complicit in turning this child's life into a spectacle. And for what? So we can feel morally superior? So we can pick sides? So we can get clicks and views? It is grotesque when you actually think about it. The NRL should be doing more to protect players' families from this kind of media circus. They should have policies in place that discourage or prevent reporting on family court matters. They should be providing support and resources to both parties in these situations, not just to the player. They should recognize that when these private matters become public, it damages everyone involved, especially children who had no choice in any of this. But instead, we get the usual response. Thoughts and prayers for everyone involved. Respect the privacy of the family. Meanwhile, they do nothing to actually enforce that privacy or protect the people who are most vulnerable in these situations. It is performative concern without any real action, and it happens every single time an athlete's personal life explodes into the public sphere. Here is my actual unpopular opinion, stripped of all the analysis and context. I do not care who wins this custody battle. I do not care what the courts decide. I do not care about the lawsuits or the lawyers or the arguments being made. What I care about is that there is a child who is going to grow up with the knowledge that her family's most painful moments were entertainment for millions of Australians. And every single one of us who consumes this content, who talks about it, who has an opinion about it, bears some responsibility for that. Reece Walsh and his wife need to figure out what is best for their daughter without millions of people weighing in. The family court system, flawed as it is, needs to do its job without media interference. And we, as a society, need to draw a line between what is legitimate sports news and what is just exploitation of personal tragedy for entertainment. But that is not going to happen. This story will continue to be reported. People will continue to have opinions. The custody battle will play out at least partially in public. And years from now, we will do the exact same thing with another athlete's family crisis, learning nothing from this one. So if you have made it this far into the video expecting me to tell you who I think should get custody or what I think is best for Reece Walsh's daughter, you are going to be disappointed. Because I do not know what is best, and neither do you, and neither does anyone else who is not intimately involved in this situation. The only unpopular opinion I have is that we should all shut up about it and let these people deal with their family matters in private. But we will not, because that is not how Australian sports media works anymore. So here we are, talking about a custody battle like it is a blockbuster trade, while a child's future hangs in the balance. If you think I am wrong, or if you agree with me, Let me know in the comments. And if you want more perspectives that go against the grain, subscribe to Unpopular Aussie Opinions. I will see you in the next one.